matter about the thing, isn't it?
Just that. Is it recording?
Yeah, it's on.
It's already recording?
Yeah. I can't see the screen on the camera, man. The shot fully there.
Yeah.
Yeah? Just looking at the levels. I think I'm alright. You alright?
Check.
One,
two.
The things are the both ways, isn't it? The brand.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here with Zimbo, Free Minds. We're just going to talk about some of your entrepreneurial ventures.
Yeah, man.
And before we get into that, though, for anyone that don't know you, let's take it right back to the very early days.
Yeah, do you know, so, if anyone knows Birmingham, I grew up in Aston. Yeah, as a youth, and I've said this loads. I was good in school. I'm very good academically. I've never failed a test or an exam. So I was quite capable in school. And that was from primary school. Really, I would say I was good in primary school. And then when I went into secondary school, I'll be honest. When I went to secondary school, I used to hang around with like the older lads. So I was a year 7, but then I was hanging around with year 9s and 10s. Because they were the man them that lived in my area, around the area. So I kind of started being bad or naughty around like year 7, you know.
Yeah.
Started getting kicked out, suspended, you know. And I was kind of like, I was like one of the bad youths, but cool. You know what I'm saying? I was one of the cool kids for being kind of bad.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So yeah, it was that. And then as I got older, like by the time I was like 14, 13, by the time I was 14, 15, we started getting into like little beefs with youths from other areas. And I'll be honest, at one stage, when we was really young, we was getting bullied. Like, not like, there was a little circle of us, probably like 9, 10 of us from Aston. And there was a point where every other day somebody's getting punched up. This man got punched up. This man's got punched up. And then it kind of just got to the point where, man just started carrying knives, axes, choppers. So no, man weren't getting punched up again. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So like, where you say you're getting kind of like bullied or whatnot, was that by the elders or by other firms?
That was by like, not elders. So at that time it was like youths from like Handsworth, and they was kind of repping their little gangs. And then we were always seen as like little Johnsons, even before we was claiming Johnsons. You know what I'm trying to say? We were seen as Johnsons, and then it kind of just got to the stage where we just became that, because like man was sticking it on us and kind of coming to beat man down or whatever, trying to rush man. It was just a rushing thing at them days until man started picking up knives and little choppers and that. Like by the time I got kicked out of school and then I went back for my last year in year 10, I was going to school with a big massive axe, like an axe down my trousers, just rolling with my thing. And then I had a little samurai chopper. I used to roll with that as well, because man were going to man's schools and that. So I picked up tools very early. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Because obviously, like, where we've done different programs and that and spoke to different people, sometimes if you're not from that life, they don't really understand why people get involved in this gang thing. But what I don't think they get is it's not a gang thing at that point. When you're getting involved, it develops into that.
And then also, I feel like it's not something that for me, I'm only going to talk from a personal perspective now. For me, it wasn't something that I got involved in. It was just, that's what was happening around me. And that became part of my lifestyle, because that was the culture. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, this is what people fail to understand. We're kind of governed by the culture around us, in the sense of how we're going to be, how our character's going to be shaped. It's kind of dependent on, especially when you're young, it's dependent on the culture that is around you, the culture that you indulge in. And like, when I was like, by the time I was like 12, 13, I was listening to the old West Coast gangster rap. I was hooked on the bad boy gangster lifestyle. That was appealing to me at that point in time.
It's funny that you mention that, because even on the way up here, I'm listening to a lot of old school American stuff myself, and listening to it now at 41 years old, listening to the lyrics, I was skimming over them when I was younger taking them in, but not realising the programming that was coming with
It's
them.
mad. Like I remember sitting in my bedroom, no lights on, some gangster shit playing in the thing, and I'm screaming at the songs, no top on, and I'll be honest, that became my way of life. Like that kind of music, it was like my Bible. Like, and I don't know why, but it was so relatable.
Yeah,
It was so relatable to the point where I think by the time I was 16, I could see myself in every song. Like, yo, I felt like they was talking about me.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, and I think for a lot of people, it's probably a similar story, because you're hearing the struggles and the things that other people are going through, and it feels like the life that you know. Playing devil's advocate, some of the listeners to this, they may well be sat there thinking, well, do you know what, when I was that age, that weren't my life. I weren't listening to gangster rap. I weren't out there carrying choppers to school to protect myself. So why has that happened for you but not for me?
Environment. Like, the environment that I came from, the environment that I was living in, that's why my surroundings became the way it became, because I was come from a single parent home. It was my mom and me and three of my younger brothers. Like, the area was poverty. Like, even though we probably didn't see it then, it was poverty. Our parents were struggling, like, to the point where a lot of my friends used to have to rob to go and buy clothes. I was a lucky one where my mum was still supporting me until a good age in sense of buying me clothes and trainers and stuff. But enough of my brethren used to have to go and rob. They only used to buy clothes when they've done a move, and they've done a move. They've got money and now they're buying clothes. So within my environment, that's what I used to see.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I saw. A lot of people that say, I didn't go down that route, I wasn't listening. They obviously came from a different environment. Their environment was, they probably had two parents within the household, or from young men, a lot of young men that don't go down that route, they have role models. They have positive role models in their life that show them a different way, that give them something to develop themselves off. Like, when you're young and you ain't got no father figure, you look for as a man, you look for a man to shape yourself from. Now, me, it was the men that I was shaping myself from was guys from Minister Society, the guys in West Coast gangster rap, and then the older youths. So I'm gonna say at that time they were older than me, but they was like 18, 19, so they're still youths.
Still not developed completely themselves.
They're still youths, fam. Yeah. The youths. And I was shaping myself off from them. So it's almost as like I became a product of my environment. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, totally. And like you mentioned the poverty thing, and I think what I've seen as I've got older, where there's a lot of poverty within the household, it restricts the availability on the time to be a parent.
Mm-hmm.
So then certain things will get missed or get passed upon, and that's when the kids are ultimately going out there and having to make their own decisions. It's like, if you've got mum and dad at home, you hear two ways of doing things, and then you get given the choice to make which way is the right way. So you develop as a person. But if you've only got the one figure, what you hear, you just assume is right because there's no conflicting argument. That version is the right version, and God forbid it be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You pick it up and generations continue.
And do you know what? Even to just add to what you was just saying, like at that time growing up, like I said, it was my mom, me, and three younger brothers. My mom's a grafter, so she's working. For a long period of time, she was working, coming home from work, making us food, dinner, and all that. Once she knows we've ate, she's gone to do night classes because she was studying to better herself, she wanted to move out of the area, so she wanted to move us out the area and get us into a better place where we're living in a better environment. So she was doing all of that, and while she's working, we've got a lot of free time. We had a lot of free time. We didn't have no hobbies. Like, one thing that I know now with children or young people, you can't give them too much free time. You need to take up their time with hobbies, positive activities that are going to help them to develop. I didn't have that. I had it when I was really young because I was in a group and we used to tour around the country. We did loads of TV appearances. Like so I've been a musician and a performer since I was about 7. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You're probably of the age where you'd know Naughty by Nature.
Yeah, of course.
So when Naughty by Nature came to the UK and performed twice, I think it was in 92 and 93.
Yeah.
Like I performed with them both times they came. So I'm old school in the sense of my music and my performing. But by the time I was like 13, that kind of ended. That stopped due to politics between management and family, and then money again. So this is based on poverty, because at that time we was looking at getting signed by Virgin Records as a group, and money's now getting involved. And because everyone's got a poverty mindset, the adults are arguing, so that stopped.
Blinded the judgment.
So when that stopped, we just went. I hit the streets, and I'll be honest, I'm glad it stopped then, because I was too young to get involved in the industry. They would have chewed me up and chewed me alive. I would have been a funny dude now. I'll be honest. I would have been something totally different if I would have.
Funny how things happen and work themselves out.
I appreciate it. I appreciate my experience. Do you get me?
But going back to that, explain to me the process of how you ended up on tour with Naughty by Nature. Like, where did that begin? How did that come about? You know, you don't just come out your front door and Naughty by Nature bus pulls up and says, you want to come on tour with us?
So you know what? We didn't actually go on tour. They came to perform here twice, and we just performed on their shows. But when I was about 7, my uncle basically started. We was good. Me, my brother, and 2 of my cousins, 2 girls. We were dancers. We were good dancers. So he used to take us, teach us routines, to dancing and stuff like that. Then after about a year or so, I started rapping. Then we used to enter competitions. So back then, to make a name for yourself as a musician, you'd live perform. So we used to enter loads of competitions, and we won every competition. We came second in one competition, but we won every competition, and this was all around the country. Every other week we was traveling, and this was from like 7 to about 13. Now, it got to after like a year or 2 years of that, it got to the point where we wasn't allowed to enter competitions no more, because we was winning. So because we was winning all these competitions now, they says, okay, then when we're trying to enter, you can't enter, but you can come and perform as a special guest. So then we started performing as a special guest. And then, so my uncle, he became our manager, and then he was like out here getting us shows. We was getting paid for our shows. And he was basically looking after us at that time. Yeah. So 3-4 days out the week in the evening, we're training, we're practicing. On a weekend, Saturday, for most of Saturday afternoon, we're practicing, we're training. So we didn't have a lot of time to hang around and doss around and be on the streets. So we was actually I would say it was a professional group. We did about 5 or 6 TV appearances. And like I said, we was performing across the country. If you remember, there was a group called Ultimate Chaos back in the day. So back then, it was us and Ultimate Chaos. This is before Ultimate Chaos got their record deal, their contract. So we probably was being offered contracts at the same time. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So, and it was us from Birmingham and Ultimate Chaos, they was in London. But it got to the point where everywhere we went, we used to see them. And it was like, it was us and them. We had the one competition where it was us and them. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And then it was like, a special guest. So we was doing it like, at that point in time, we was kind of doing it big for kids. You know what I'm trying to say? Because that finished when I was 13. So when that finished, that's kind of when I started to like take on my own. Like that's when I started. So I was rapping by them times, but it was still. So
what took you from the dancing to the rapping? What was the pivot within that? Why did you transition from the dancing to the rapping?
Because it was both. So and then the first rap was like somebody wrote the rap for us. So we had a guy from America and he was staying here with us and he wrote the raps for us.
Okay.
And I think from then I was like the only one within the group that kind of just picked it up and started doing my own stuff and that.
Yeah.
And started doing my own stuff. Then when I got to like, when that finished, so when we split, I continued to rap. I continued to write my own rhymes, my own bars. And it was some real cold-blooded killer shit. Like, because of the music that I was listening to. So I was already getting programmed like and gaining the aspirations to be a bad man. And I weren't a bad man at that point in time. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I was still young. I was still playing outside. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I wasn't on no real gangster shit, but we were becoming rude boys at that point in time. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And the music just went along with it. I just continued to rap and make, and I started making a name for myself for making music, because I started recording songs on tapes in my tape deck. Started recording songs and people would send them out. Then I think when I was about 17, 18, by 17, 18, I'm fully gang affiliated then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Fully gang affiliated. We had gone through the process of man trying to beat us up, us starting carrying knives. When I was about 16, that was the first time I got shot after someone shot after us. And then we started carrying guns. You know what I'm trying to say? So it was just an evolution.
Because again, a lot of the listeners, they might not be completely aware of the whole conflict around Birmingham with like the Johnnies and the burgers and whatnot. So what kind of age were you where you started to recognise there was that divide?
Early, like 14.
Yeah?
Yeah,
and
like
was that
14,
was that
15?
from elders explaining it to you,
Nah,
or you was witnessing it for yourself?
Nah, it was because we were getting picked on. Like I said, people were coming at you like from this area, you like Johnsons or Johnnies or whatever. Like even if man I say no, some of my brethren are still getting picked. At that point, nothing had happened to me. But then I think I got rushed on the bus one time by two youths and that, and after that I was fully fledged like, yo, Johnson's banging. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And then obviously I was carrying knives and stuff like that, and then there was one time where I got pulled up on us, and we're in a car, but yo, we're on the back foot basically, and like we could have got fucked up. In all fairness, we could have got the shit kicked out of us. We didn't, but we was in a predicament. And from then, I kind of said, yo, I ain't leaving my house without my strap again, because by that time I had a 2-2 in the house. Like I used to go to college with it. You know what I'm trying to say? So from there, it's like, yo, I'm carrying my thing, and because I feel like because we was on it, then the elders kind of took us in and said, yo, all right, safe, man. Because I was making a name for myself doing badness.
The thing is, like, you hear the cliches, people say, oh, the gang lifestyle, it's glamorised and glorified. But it kind of is.
Nah,
and it kind of is promoted within
I'll be honest,
the industry.
It's 100% glorified. And in terms of the industry, let me show you about the industry and the music, the rap industry, and just urban culture in the sense, like, okay, then the music industry, rap, grime, drill, all of it, trap, that is the marketing tool for the privatized prisons. Like, that's facts. Like, if you run a private prison, what's your marketing tool? Because as a private prison, your business, you need income, you need customers. What is your marketing tool? Urban culture.
It's interesting that you say that, because many, many years ago, maybe as many as 10 now, I was doing an interview with Sean Atwood, and we was talking about Rick Ross, and the real Rick Ross, freeway Ricky Ross, is different to the Rick Ross that most people see on the telly. And Sean put it very eloquently. He said the same people that own the prisons are the same people that own the labels.
100%. It's their brothers, cousins, family members. They're the same. It's all part and part, and it was set by design. It was planned. Do you get what I'm saying? It was planned to the point where you can only speak. Okay, then you can only speak about killing another person, or robbing another person, or any hate or derogatory against another person if it's us talking about killing and doing those things to ourselves. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, you couldn't make a song now and talk about killing police or killing homosexuals, and they will clearly tell you can't do that because it will incite violence and hatred against those people, but we can still do it against ourselves. So it was fully 100% set by design, and a lot of these artists don't even realize that you man are just agents. You like agents for the system. You're agents for the privatized prison system, because the culture that you're pushing is supporting young people to take that way of life. These young people are idolizing you, just like I used to idolize West Coast rappers. These young people are idolizing these UK artists now, and they're following in their footsteps when half of them ain't even doing what they're talking. So they're following a sort of message that they're pushing, and they're becoming that way inclined, just like I did as a child.
So that sort of explains then why you see certain artists getting up there
Now, 100%.
and
Because
certain artists are suppressed.
it's this, and like I can talk like that from a personal perspective, because like I know certain songs that I make won't get played on the radio. In fact, most of the songs that I make ain't getting played on the radio because it goes against the narrative. I'll give you an example. I made a song called "Charge It to the Game." Charge it. Have you heard? You see it?
Yeah.
Right, safe. That song, the video as well. I tried to put that on Link Up TV.
Yeah.
Link Up TV says not Link Up TV. Sorry, Grime Daily.
Yeah.
I tried to put it on Grime Daily. I ended up backing up the one of them youths that run it. I went nuts on him on the phone because he was chatting shit to me, basically saying, "Oh, we can't put your video on because it's got it's violent." I'm like, "Are you like for real?
Interesting. Yeah.
Are you like for real? Like, we can't put your video." That was the excuse that they used because it's violent. A few months down the line, I see them with videos and man, I got gun in their video.
I was just about to say.
Few months down the line, man, I got gun in their video. So the reality is, because of what I'm saying in that song, it literally goes against every other song that they put on their channel. It's tearing down that lifestyle. So because of that, it won't get played. Do you know?
It's messed up really when you look at how a lot of the artists know what we're talking about right now, but they choose to push the narrative that's going to get them paid because their focus, their end game, their win is the bag.
That's why I say the agents, I'll be honest, the agents, all these man pushing that narrative, selling drugs, yo, go do this, wet man. These men are agents. Even if they don't know it, they're working for the privatized prison system, and that's a fact. Like, they're the marketing tool. All these guys that you see, these drill youths and their chef wear, all that bullshit, they are the marketing tool. Like, you, man, are the marketing tool for the private prison system. Please carry on.
So do you think that I'm not going to start throwing out names, but I can think of a few people in my mind now, and it's a clear divide. Half of them, I would say, consciously know they're part of this agenda, and the other half, I would say, have been blinded by the lights. So I've heard rumours about, you might know more about it, I'm not a musician like that, but the 360 deal.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
Not loads, because I wouldn't deal with it anyway, but it's just a lot of them are being raped.
Yeah, so obviously my mind works along like a business kind of pathway and an entrepreneurial pathway. So when I look at stuff like this, as messed up as it is, I do think there's a certain level of very cunning, clever, business-minded planning within it and behind it to be able to pull it off. It's like the ultimate heist. And I look at it and I think, you see this 360 deal, I don't know a great deal about it, but my understanding is it's a big payment up front.
But then you have to pay all that back with interest. And
you lose your masters.
Yeah, you lose your masters. But also what they do is, they give you a big studio to film in, to record in. They'll shoot a video for you and say the videos cost 30 grand and all the rest of it. But the studio is in-house, so in reality, it's not really costing them that much money. So all they do is build up how much money they've spent on you. Then, before you can even come out of the contract or before you can even make any money off your own music, you've got to pay all this back. We spent $1 million on you now. On paper, we spent $1 million on you.
Yeah.
In reality, we probably spent 20 quid.
So they're just literally building up a pipeline of credit and then debting the artists beyond their capability.
And then then the artists have to play the game to stay afloat. Do you get me? But like I said, a lot of artists don't know. A lot of these artists are they think they're just doing their thing. Because it's like when I was young and I was spitting all this gangster shit, man used to come and say to me like, yo, like older men, you're a role model, don't you know? You got their youths following you and all the rest of it. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm looking at man, I ain't no role model. What are you on about, blood? I'm doing me. But the reality is,
you are.
The reality is, like I was, there's a whole generation of people that were raised on my music to the point when I changed, a lot of those people were very angry because they're like, yo, and the thing is, when I changed, I didn't just change and go away. You know what I'm saying? I took on a new way of thinking. I started to see through the BS, and then I started to tear down the way of life that I've been glorifying, advocating for the
Propping
last
up.
15 years.
Yeah, you
And
had your epiphany.
yeah, and I started to tear it down. And you know the thing, I'll be honest, I didn't start like that. I didn't start by tearing it down. I started with just being more positive. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I started with being more positive. But you know what? When I was doing that, I don't feel like, and think about when I was doing that, a lot of people, especially within the area, within the block and the manor, a lot of people kind of took it for a weakness. You get me? So a lot of people kind of took it for, yo, my man's fell off, he's gone soft, things like that. So because of that, I kind of just got wicked with it. And I even got a few threats like, yo, you need to stop this and doing that. So I kind of just started to say, all right, safe. I'm just...
But them threats, if you can speak on them, where were they coming from? And I'm not saying what individual, but what direction? Because to me, looking at the whole bigger picture of what's going on, was them threats like a message from above?
Now, I'll be honest, them threats were just from the local community, from local man them.
Yeah.
That was like, yo, you can't be talking about this, yo, you basically trying to just stop what I was doing. Because now, I've not just turned away from it, I'm tearing it down, but also I'm making a business of it.
But you can sort of understand that because, like, in your own words, like, it makes you... I can't remember exactly how you phrase it now, but like when you are out there and you're about it, you've got a certain kudos, you've got a certain rep, you've got a certain celebrity status within the streets, right? So first of all, to turn your back on that, because let's be honest, when you decided you were going to pivot and go, actually, I can see through this shit now, and I'm turning around and going to do a 180, you're turning your back on a lot. Like, I don't think many people would really understand the implications of what you're giving up. Do you know, like, exactly, it's a whole way of life.
A whole community.
Yeah.
And not just that.
Financial resources.
Everything.
There's a lot.
Everything. And I've had to go through a lot of shit. I'll be honest, like, and I say this regular, like, that's like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
Like, literally all the things that I used to go through, even just the little battles in my mind to stop that, to not make me react to so much bullshit that I was going through. Because I'll be honest, like, I was a terrorist. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it doesn't take much for me to jump up and say I'm gonna do some dirt, or I'm gonna go and do someone something. So, like, that in itself was a very hard and long journey, in the sense of, yo, forget what these people are saying. Forget this. When people are like, now, someone can come up to me and talk some shit, I can happily walk away, because I know.
Yeah, there's a bigger picture.
I know where I am at. I know what position I'm in, and I know where I'm not trying to be. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So a lot of this, when that's happened in the past, now I've had to learn to, like, look at it and thinking, you know what, you're not in a good place. I'm kind of in a good place. I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing, and I'm gonna walk away. You know what I'm trying to say? Like for real. And I've had to learn. That's something that I've had to learn over a long period of time, for me not to go out and think, yo, I need to go and buy a gun and go and lick off at somebody's head. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because at first, there was a lot of that. There was a battle, big fight, like, to the point where sometimes it's like, it's brought me to tears, because I want to go and lick off a man's head. And it's like, nah, yo, you can't do that now, because you're on this. You're on this wave, and you're on this pattern. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I had to go through a long period of
it's a different
adjusting.
level. It's a different level.
Now fully.
But what a lot of people are going to be thinking the same thing, and they're going to be saying, but what was the catalyst? What was the thing that made you say, you know what, I'm going to put down the strap and pick up?
Do you know what I've said this a lot, man, but I became unhappy with how I was living. I became unhappy with the outcomes of my life. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, really, I rather just became, is this all it is? Is this, even when I was saying this to my mate the other day, I remember being in my kitchen, counting a big stack of money. I'm nice. I'm up. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But yo, I'm looking and I'm depressed, because I've got all this money. What am I gonna do? That's what was going through my head. Like, now I've got this. what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? So it was like, it got me to it was really looking at, I became unhappy with all the outcomes, going jail, looking 5 old police watching me every minute. Like, there was so much stuff that I was going through. And then also I began to see that how fake the gang shit was. I really began to start to see how fake it was, to the point where even before I came off the road, like before I did come off the road, I kind of switched up my thing anyway to say like, yo, I'm not banging for man downsides no more. I'm banging for man that are banging, because half of these man are not even banging, are not even putting in work, and they're living off this fame. So these man are dickheads, blood. If you're not putting in work, I'm not rating you. So that I went through that stage first, and then I kind of started to see like that. It just showed me the fakeness within it. When my cousin died, really showed me the fakeness within it, like the things that were happening and the things that people were saying. I'm like, oh, yo, these men are fake, fam. Because I've come out for every single one of yours. I've hit the road for every single one of yours. Like, I was the guy that you could definitely phone to come and I'm coming to boss my team. You get what I'm trying to say? So, but now everything's changed. It's not like that no more. Oh, this is fake. So I started to see that, and then what I actually did was, because of that unhappiness. So I went for a long period of time where I was unhappy, a good 2-3 years, because it was just the same old shit. And I was experiencing the same old shit that I was experiencing when I was 19, but just more extreme. So I became unhappy. And then I actually went for a period where I actually started to research, how do you change your life? Shit sounds funny, but I started to Google.
I can relate.
I started to Google, how do you change your life? And then when I started to Google, like, things started to come up, and it was all about mine. Right, first it was things like what's in the secret, the information that was in the secret. So that was like probably one of the first spiritual books I started to read, and then it like. Then I started looking into like the law of attraction. Then I started looking into energies and how positive energy attracts positive energy and So when I started to learn that, that's what really started to make me think, yo, I gotta remove all this negativity from around me. If I want my life to change, I gotta remove all this negativity around me. And then, like, I haven't stopped researching. I still look at this. Is something that I study all the time.
I know you read 48 laws.
Yeah.
50th law.
Yeah. You get me? So these are things that I studied. Now, what I then started to learn was, which was really about my mindset and my character.
Right.
And then I started to learn how that was shaped. I started to learn, yo, I'm not my character. Like, this character or this persona that has been developed, that's not actually you.
It's not your true energy, yeah.
That's not you. That is not actually you. That's something that's developed over the course of your life through your experience.
I'm gonna throw it in there. Developed or conditioned.
Like, and conditioned, yeah.
Programmed.
Yeah, like literally programmed. Like but it was through the experience and then all the information that I was intaking. So that built that character of that person. Then I just started learning how to change it. Like, the real big thing was I changed my mindset. I changed my way of thinking. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I wrote something the other day where I was for a piece that I was doing, but the reality is, you can't change nothing in your life without changing yourself.
Agreed.
Like, and someone said that, a big man said it to me. He said, yo, how you think you're going to get different results by doing the same thing?
Einstein, it was his statement, weren't it? The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over.
Results.
That's right.
And that's what a man said, one of the big one of them in the community. That's what he said to me, and it was like, you know what? It's raw true. Everything's got to change. Everything's got to change. So,
see, for me, like, in my experiences with people I've met and, you know, things I've been involved in and done, there's this, best way to explain it is like, when you come off the roads and stuff, a lot of people say, oh, you know, it was bad, you got to turn your back on it, you've got to completely change, you've got to strip yourself back to the bones. But I'll argue the point that actually there's certain traits within you that if you can find the transference into corporate world, legit world, whatever you want to call it,
all of it,
it gives you that competitive edge. Yeah. So like you said, yeah, you was the guy I could ring you any time of the morning and be like, yo, there's problems. You're out, you're riding, you got your thing. So if you're willing to do that, that won't get recognised in the corporate world for that, yeah? But Peter, Paul, Dave or Sam or whoever that decides he's going to stay half hour late at work that day,
Same.
he's getting a pat on the back and a promotion.
What I was gonna say is just hearing you speak. What that shows. What that has transferred to within the corporate world, because I am in the corporate world. What that has transferred to is that I am always willing to go above and beyond to get the job done.
This is where I was going with it.
Like always will, and that's like it's. I was gonna say like I'm a warrior. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's within me to be a warrior. So I'm always gonna put in the mad shift to get what needs to be done, not just to do it so it's just done. I want to do it with a high expectation. So it's when I'm doing something, you're gonna have high expectations because I'm doing it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So that did transfer. What I would say is that a lot of the stuff, that I took from the streets, I still have that now.
Yeah,
and I've had to keep that because the reality is I'm still in the trenches. If there was people out there that really thought that if people really had it in their head that they could do me something, somebody would probably have done me something. Do you get what I'm trying to say? People that I've done things to in the past, people that don't like what I'm doing now, all that like. But the reality is, because I've still got that edge, and I'm not gonna lose that because I've still got that edge. People would think twice. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But what that has transferred into now is that because people know that I can be like that and I don't choose to be, in fact, I refuse to be like that, I get a lot of respect for it. People even people that I used to be at war with, they respect what I'm on now. In fact, I seen a man in the gym today and he's like, yo, I love what you're on, I respect what you're on, because they know like I don't have to be like that, but I want to be the best version of me.
I always say it's like the new hustle. It's like the new hustle because you go a certain path. You normally start off a bit disruptive. You get involved in a few things. You take a few decisions. You go down a road. Then if you're lucky and you're blessed, you have that epiphany and you think, shit, there's something different here. And you switch it up. You change the product. And then when you go for this side of it, the new hustle of it, you start helping out and reaching back to them communities and saying, yo, listen, come here, sit down. We hear that you're disruptive and you're a pain in the arse and you've been told how naughty you are and how bad it is and how much you've got to change. But guess what, little man? I don't see it like that. Because if you're disruptive, it means you think outside the box. It means you've got entrepreneurial tendencies. And if you've done A, B and C, you've displayed, a certain business mindset. So let's hone that and tune that and we can do something with it. And that's obviously like, we're on the same path with that. We've had this conversation off camera. That's why we do what we do. But when you say like certain big man that you would have had beef with, they respect it. I sometimes feel like I've been in them conversations myself and it's almost like that particular person, they're either just starting this journey themselves, and they're seeing it and they're thinking, yeah, you know what, I really got to squash this beef with my man because what he's doing is where I want to go. Or humbly, it's, bro, can you open the door for me? Because you're further ahead than me.
And it's a bit of both.
And that back then that happened between us, it's old news now. Let's do the future.
I tell you what I do, what I am enjoying right now. Like when I first kind of come off the roads and all that, like I had a lot of hate from the community, not the community as such, but like my community, the people that I grew up with, and then even like from Mandem on the other side, like and it was like that for a very long time, like years, do you know? But now, I'll be honest, when man do get to that position where they want to change their life, I'm probably one of the first people, oh yo, let me shout to them. Like like if people don't want to, the people that want to do that they're doing and all the rest of it, they'll carry on and continue. But enough man that thinking, yo, they want to change their life. Even if it's just for a conversation.
And what that does for your soul when you enable that,
nice,
money cannot buy.
Nah, I'll be honest, it was, and I've gone through this recently with one of my old school brethren, and he shouted me, and I haven't seen him for time, and he shouted me and said, yo, he wants to do certain things. I said, all right, safe, let's have a link up, we sit down. I done a bit of work for him, putting him getting him into the right position so he can start to do what he's doing, but and that was for free. I don't get paid for that shit because these men are grown men. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But
yeah, I've often found when you do things the right way, there's not much money involved.
Nah, but it
can
be.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. What I want to get to, like, there can be, because yo, I'll be honest. I'm all right. I can eat good now. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I can eat good now. I did like, and it might not even be that much money, but I did 6 days work this month and got paid £2 for the 6 days work that I've did. Plus I'm doing other work. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, so now
that's £2,000 for the listeners.
Yeah. But that's 6 days for 6 days. Now, I wouldn't like. You have to do roadworks to kind of do them to get that, or you got to be on your big business.
You say that, but then by the time you take out all the moving around, the associated risk, all the potential for problems, sometimes it's less than the minimum wage. I think.
No, it is. No, definitely. Like I've been saying that for years. A lot of men that are on the road might as well go and get a normal job in Asda or McDonald's, because you're gonna get £18 a year, and a lot of men that they're not making 18 bags a year.
And it's different now as well. Getting the money into a place where you can actually use it
and do things with it.
Yeah, it's very different.
And what I'd also say is, the road money don't last.
No.
You can do, no matter how long if you think you can stay on the road and not to get taken off the road by jail or someone licking off your head, getting killed, you've got. You got another thing coming. Yeah. I was having this conversation with someone yesterday. I have these conversations loads, but I was having this conversation yesterday, and he was talking about someone else that's in jail now, and I'm saying, yo, what do you expect? Like, you have to charge it to the game. This is part of the lifestyle. Like, if you're gonna do the bad boy thing, you're gonna go jail. Just deal with it. Like, don't be sad about it. Deal with that's part of your life. That's part of your life. You might lose friends. You might lose friends by getting killed and murder. That is the lifestyle that you're dealing with. Don't be sad. Don't be sad about your mate getting killed when a week ago you was sitting down with him talking the most crud. No, you were gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Right? Don't be sad because he's dead now. He's doing life in jail now because you're encouraging it. Yeah. You're encouraging the behaviour that took him there. So stop saying free my brother. Like, instead of saying free the man them.
Free the guys.
When the man them come out, you sit them down and you say, yo, listen, bro, if you're gonna carry on doing this, I can't chill with you. I can't chat to you no more. Yeah. That's dead. Like, yo, we're on big things now. We're trying to start businesses and companies, and we're trying to work with corporate organizations. Like, so if you're still doing that, I can't even deal with you again. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, for real.
Yeah, I know from personal experience, like with my prison work and that, you know, I've sat down with some fucking seriously big names, and you have the conversations with them, and it's like, it's heartbreaking to see, but it's also a little bit humbling. A lot of the guys, everyone's on the same level when you get the other side of the door, and that's all I'll say. Everyone's on the same level. Yeah. And I've seen some big ass grown men shed tears. Yeah,
it's real. Yeah.
And then you come out and you think, well, am I going to go back to that, or am I going to change it up?
And I'll be honest, you have to change it up, or you're going to go back. And you know, there's something that I do want to speak about, because we're talking about entrepreneurial stuff and work. And this is, I want to mention this because this was a conversation that I was having with another one of my brethren, and he was like, he's just come off the road, and he's got a job now. You know, I'm trying to say, man, I'm working. You know, I'm trying to say, but he's saying, yo, I wish I could just go back to the road for a bit and just get a nice little check and something like that, because yo, this work money is dead. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, what I'm earning now is dead. And I says to him, I said, bro, it's not that this work money is dead, you know. It's that man have to develop their skills. Like, and I say this, I was talking to I tell my children this, like, yo, forget money. Yes. Forget, if you want to make money and you got no skills. Like, okay, even people that there's youths that talk about they want to make money. I say, yo, what can I pay you for then? What skills have you got where I can pay you now? Like, you need skills. Forget thinking about money. So the same thing, like conversation I was having with my brethren, and there's a big man. I was saying, bro, do you know what, bro? Like, if you really want to make money in a legal term, you gotta get skills, bro. You gotta develop yourself. You can't just think you can come off the road and then you're just gonna be earning money. Now there are some jobs that you can go and do labouring and you earn a nice wage and that. But if you're not that kind of man but even then you still have to go and get skill. You still gotta go and develop yourself and get skills. Like, I came off the road. I did so much work for no money, for free. Because when I came off the road, I wasn't working for money. I was working to learn.
Yeah, which was more valuable than anyone.
I was working to develop myself, to get to a point where I can earn money, good money. So, and it's taken a long time. And then even so, I've got a degree now. But even just having my degree, just means that I can ask for more money for the work that I'm doing.
It's a madness, I know, but it's the world that we live in, and you have to work by them rules.
Like, you got, like, it's real, and like the people who get paid the most are the people who have the most skills.
Yeah.
Unless you're
even if they're not using them sometimes.
Nah, yeah, and so exactly, you get to the point where you're just organising, sending an email, do this. Oh yeah, you guys, have you done that? Okay, say, what do I need to do? Oh, just send an email. It's like a lot of the time that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's playing the game.
A lot of the time I'm sitting down. I spend a whole day working, and I'm sending emails and having meetings.
But you see, if someone had got young Zimbo at 14, 15 and said, "Bro, you're doing all this running around, risking your life for this little change, but you can sit there and send 5 or 10 emails and probably get double that, and it'll sit in your bank," you'd have took it, innit?
Yeah, 100.
Because you had the foresight for it, but 100. No one was there dangling that carrot.
I was gonna say something like that. Like, there was no one there to actually show me that road. Like, I would have listened, but it was like.
But would you?
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Because I say that as well. No, but then I think to myself, why is no one listening then when we're out there trying to say?
Do you know what? I mean, it depends on who I'm listening to and who's telling me as well. It's got to be it's got to be somebody relatable.
Yeah.
So the person who was telling me this, they have to be relatable. They have to come from the same place. There's got to be someone that I look up to. Then I'm gonna listen.
Yeah. Because someone that's been about the life that you understand at that moment in time.
Or even like, okay, even like the big man them that I got their businesses back in the day. They used to have their business or whatever. They got their nice car, this and that. If they would have said, like, because what used to happen is, especially like enough of these men that are working within the community and stuff like that, what used to happen is they'll tell you, yo, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. But if you go to them and say, yo, all right, bring me in, help me do something, what do I need to do?
Oh, well, a bit busy at the minute.
It's not that. So and that's what it needs to be. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's what it needs to be. Like, when people come to me.
But respectfully, when you get to that level and someone's saying, yo, bring me in, because I hear it all the time. My phone rings off with people saying, yeah, what you got going on? Can I get involved? And I think to myself, well, okay, yeah, you're cool, you can. But first and foremost, demonstrate you're bringing something to the table. Get out of bed at a decent time in the morning. Answer the phone when it's ringing. Send the email
Check
on
your
time.
Emails.
Do you know what I'm saying? You want everything easy and handed to you on a plate.
Yeah. Do you know what I'd say? Like, and maybe bring me in was the wrong word, because I don't do that. That's not what I do. Do you get what I'm trying to say? What I do is I will support you to do what you want to do.
That's right. Enable you to be independent.
What do you need to do? I will support that. Like, but I'm not going to do it for you. So, you tell me what you need to do. Like, some man come, I want to set up my business, this, that, right, I'll give you advice. All right, say, this is how you go and register the company. Go and do this, do that. If you need me to send you something that I've done before, I'll send it to you. Do your thing. Once you've done that, come back. We'll start working on whatever else you want to work. So I'm that kind of person where I would say, I'll support you to do what you need to do. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And then, like, the people around me, those are the people that are kind of like, when I've got projects on, I need support. Come on, they're the people that I go to for support, and I pay them.
The thing is, it's uncannily similar to the world that you know when you're in the game, but it's almost like, I don't know, you got your fucking chessboard, ain't you, with your pieces, yeah? So you got your shooters, you safe houses, you this, that, the other. It's like taking that piece off and replacing it with another piece that's doing a similar thing but in the legitimate world. The movement is still the same, but it's just changing the individuals that you network with, isn't it?
There's a book around this, you know, I think it's called Trigonometry, a book called Trigonometry, and it talks about the road life and all the transferable skills that you can do, that you can take and put into a business. Now, you may have to refine them, but you can take those skills and move. Like I've always been a good organizer. I've always been a good organizer. I used to organize my little circle. I used to organize my team. Like we used to and that's because probably I came up under someone else that was a good organizer. So that's what they used to do. They used to orchestrate the thing. So I became an orchestrator. By the time I had little youngers around me, I became a little orchestrator where I could say, all right, man, them do this, man, them do that. If man are not doing that, then I'm going nuts. But is that what? Without even realizing, that's kind of what I do now.
But even what you just said then, when the youngers ain't doing what they need to do, you go nuts, yeah? I've learned over time that that's something that we learn as well, and it's something that we respond to. Like, it's different for different people, I guess, but if you grow up in an environment where you do something wrong and the voices start to raise in the background, certain people will respond to that and be like, oh shit, I've done it wrong, and they'll just get on with it.
Check yourself.
But you take that into the nice world and raise your voice at certain people, and it's like you've let guns blaze on them.
Yeah, you gotta know, but you have to know.
You got to tailor it back a little bit.
You gotta know how to operate in the corporate world or the world of business. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I'll be honest, you see, within the world of business, I don't really argue. I don't really argue, especially don't argue over money. Like, I'm not one to chase it. You know what I'm trying to say? If it doesn't work out, it don't work out. Cool, I'll keep it moving, and I'll leave whatever's there, and I'll keep it moving, and I'll go and do it again, because I've got a proven track record where I know I can, if I want to, I could stop what I'm doing today and go and take 12 months out, set up a company, and go and do something out. I've done that a number of times, so I got a proven track record. So I'm like that, and then so I don't argue. I don't bring the hood into the corporate world, and that's where a lot of people fall. That's what a lot of men need to, like, before you even get into the world of business and that, you need to know that you're not in the hood. It's not the same. Yeah, there are still some things that operate like it's the hood. I'll be honest, because a lot of organizations, you see some dodgy shit that they're doing, and they're beefing with each other, and they're doing little sneaky things. You know what I'm saying? So it's all backhanded stuff, where on the road it's very in your face, up front. You know what I'm trying to say? But you can't. But you, like, with me, you don't see me get. I'm ignorant. Even now, I can still be very ignorant. Even as a spiritual brother, that side still comes out of me. But you ain't gonna see me like that in a business environment. You're not gonna see me like that in a work environment. I'm like that at home or when I'm around the mandem or whatever.
It's because you're looking a few steps beyond it.
Yeah, 100%. You gotta
You can see that's just a little tiny barrier, and it's what's past it you're trying to get to. Whereas on the road, what you see in front of you is what you're getting to, and then when you get there, then you put your next thing in front of you, and then you get there, and then the next thing in front of you, and you get there. I find the road's very short-sighted in a lot of ways.
No, definitely.
In a lot of ways, but then, you know, you can't really blame the individuals that get involved when they don't know no different, and they ain't been taught no different, which then takes us on to the whole thing around education. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Don't know if you read the book.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel in today's world now, more people are starting to do a lot more critical thinking, and they're starting to look around at their environment and the lessons and the teachings and question them, which 100%. I'm very supportive of.
Do you know, I'll be honest, like, the one thing that I've learned, and this is probably the biggest thing, is that your way of thinking would define the outcomes of your life, your way of thinking. So we're not in a time now where you can't think critically. You have to think critically, otherwise you're not going to survive.
That's right.
Like, you won't.
It's evolution.
Like, for real, and maybe we've been held back from the information that this needs to happen and stuff like that. But like we're living in the era of information now. It's the ones that know the most are gonna get furthest ahead. So even with education, I'm a self-taught person, and a lot of the things that I know, to the point where sometimes I speak to people and they say, are you studying psychology? No, I don't study psychology, but it's the interest that I have at home. Like, I don't watch TV too much. So I have a lot of interest. My interest at home is around the mindset, how you shape and how you move forward, how you build the life that you want and how you elevate. So it's so important for man that are trying to come away from a certain type of lifestyle, or even just trying to get into the world of business and become an entrepreneur. Your mindset and your way of thinking is everything. So you have to keep on developing your mindset and your way of thinking. And I'll just stop here. Like me, I think about the way I think. If that makes any sense, I literally think about the way I think, constantly. Am I thinking in the right way that's going to get me to where I want to go? Because your thinking then governs how you feel, and then how you feel, it's all of that is going to govern how you act, and then that's going to govern where you're going to go in your life. So you have to bring it back to the basics and start taking control of your way of thinking. So for me, even I'm going on.
No, you're not. Go on.
But even when changing or going through a transition or changing in life, the main thing is your way of thinking. You know what I'm trying to say? You have to start with taking control of your way of thinking, and the first thing you need to do that is begin to monitor your thoughts. So I this is what I started to learn, that you have to monitor your thoughts. So I practiced monitoring my thoughts. Are these negative thoughts that I'm thinking? Yeah. Then once you've started to monitor your thoughts, then the ones that are not serving you, the negative ways of thinking, you challenge it. Every time you have a negative thought, it needs to be challenged. And then it gets to the point where you don't think negatively too much no more. Because I'll be honest, my thinking is more positive than it is negative now. And that has become my state of being, if that makes any sense. So it's what I mean by your state of being means how you are on an everyday basis.
Yeah, no, I relate.
You get me?
But I think when you talk about that way of thinking and that mindset and that enlightenment to do that, and you mentioned the secret, the manifestations and all them things there, when you're out there on the roads and you're busy, you ain't got time to be thinking about any of that. You think you got time to pick a book up.
You don't get time.
Right. And it's by design. Because when you're busy, and they say it's a fast road and it comes to a fast end for a reason. Because you don't get the time for any of this. And it's like anything, like we spoke about the whole thing with the industry, the music industry. I feel like there's a lot of hidden pathways that might not be obvious to the first immediate eye, and you'll get on them, you'll spend a lot of time doing something, and it's not until you stop
and you see
and you look back and you think, shit, I've gone the wrong way. Yeah. But sometimes when you stop, before you get a chance to realise for yourself, people get taken advantage of by a bigger system without recognising it. And the roads, always, to me, is that system.
Always, like, and I think, so, for me, it's the system that created the roads, in the sense of, when I say the system, then I'm going to talking about the system that we're all living under, that has most of us working low-paid jobs, unskilled work, and all that. It's that system there which has really created the road, as well as the culture. That's what's created the road. And I feel like, because when people, and this is not even just for the road, it's because it's a rat race. Most of us are in the rat race, and when you're in the rat race, that's when you don't get time to think, because there's even people that are doing 9 to 5 jobs and stuff like that,
and they're still not taking the time.
They're in the program.
They're unhappy until they retire.
Because people don't, like, your self-development needs to be the most important thing.
Agreed.
It needs to be the most important thing. Your self-development. How can I develop myself? every day there should be a little bit of time spent on how am I developing myself, because that's the only thing that's going to take you forward. Now, a lot of people are not conscious. They're not conscious about it. So when you're in the rat race, people are on the road. Most of their thoughts are unconscious thoughts. If that makes sense.
I feel like there's one particular product that is always put first, and it's money. Mm-hmm. People are chasing the pound note.
So you don't get time to think. But this is why this is I keep saying it. Like, if you really, people that really want to make money, if that's what you want to do, you gotta forget about money and develop your skills. Because once you've developed those skills, once you have a skill set and you're good at what you do, people will come to you. Money will come to you.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. People that make crazy money, once they've got that money, what's the first thing they do? They unplug from that world, and they take the family and go off for a little holiday in a cabin in the woods somewhere, back to nature, walking up mountains where there's nothing. You look at the first bit of the mountain, it looks exactly the same as the last bit of the mountain, but it took you 9 hours to get there and see it.
Trust me. Yeah.
So it tells you something, doesn't it?
Because it gives them that space. And then also, what it also does is it opens up your mind, opens up your consciousness to new things. The more things you get to experience, especially things like that, opens up your consciousness to a new awareness. Like you're going to spend a weekend in the mountains and that. All right, so I'm gonna go back a bit first.
Yeah.
Because like, in the sense of what I've done over the years, like I feel like I've supported a lot of people to come away from the streets. I've supported a lot of people to change their life, even just to get into business, get into work, and loads of advice. And I think probably one of the big things is that I've now become an expert in my field, in the sense of supporting young people, helping people to change their life, and engaging with the community. Now, I'm seen as an expert now. So whereas I've been around the table for guns and gangs initiatives, I've been funded by the West Midlands Violence Reduction Unit, West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner, and quite a few other different funding bodies, which has been like, that's what's been happening over the years, to do a number of projects supporting young people, mentoring, workshops in schools, them kind of stuff. Like I've done. We were speaking earlier about the Peru's. Like, it really first started with working in the Peru's.
So just for the listeners and that, to break it up, like, Peru's is pupil referral units.
Yeah.
The very violence reduction units.
Yeah.
So how have you been able to approach these organisations and be taken seriously enough to be funded to run programs that you've come up with?
Well, so at first, when I first started 1 Mile Away as an organisation, we was supported by an organisation called Duck Society. There was Brit Duck at that time in London, and they gave us a fundraiser for 6 months. So the fundraiser that we had, she kind of helped us to get funding and that kind of stuff. And then the funding really allowed us to kind of do a lot of work within schools. And then once we started to show the work that we've been doing and the impact, then that kind of led to us getting taken seriously. So I think I've built a backlog of work that I've did where it's made an impact. A lot of it was through funding.
So you keep saying, like, we and us. Who is the we and the us?
Now, it's
not, is it? It's you.
Yeah, it's me. So when you get into business,
that's a corporate thing, isn't
it?
Yeah.
When you get into business and you've got your own organisation,
you want to appear to be bigger than you are.
You always refer to the organisation as we, or the business as we, even if it's just you. Or other people. So I have had other help. So even when we first started, and I first started 1 Mile Away, we got funding in, and then that allowed me to employ my brethrens and people that to help to support me. And I like at that point in time, I had like 8 people on a monthly wage, plus myself.
But that's the reason why I dug you out on that. It's not to try and expose you for appearing to be bigger than you are. It's more for people might be watching this that are an individual that have got some fantastic ideas and think, I can't do it because I'm not big enough. But in reality, you and I both know you just got to believe in yourself and you can.
And you got to start from somewhere. So like I said, we had a good lucky dip because we started from the 1 Mile Away documentary, and that allowed us to gain enough media attention and stuff like that. But then I got a lot of support. So one thing that people need if you really want to get your foot off the ground, you need support. So I got support with my learning. Now we had that fundraiser for 6 months, but that was when we was based. That was when I was working from London, and then came to Birmingham. Started working within Birmingham. This was very early, so like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to manage the back office of a company, but I learned as I went along. And then also I had people around me, professionals that I could lean on to support me. Like I've had a mentor for the last 10 years, say, and I first met him in like 2013, 2014, and he supported me for a while, for a while. Then it kind of got to the point where it was like I was doing my thing now, so I didn't really need the support. So he got me to the stage where now I'm raising my own money. I'm putting my own funding applications together. I'm building relationship with funders, commissioners. I kind of learnt the game now. I'm having loads of meetings with different people. So with me, have an idea, start speaking to people about it. Who can help? Who can support what I'm doing? How can I get this off the ground? Before I get an project off the ground, I probably spoke to 150 people to support. How can you help me? Could you help me do this? Can you help me do that? And
how many of the 150 have knocked you back?
A lot, majority.
Yeah.
But you got to be speaking to everyone and anyone about what you're doing and how they can support what you're doing. But it's got to the point where now, because I've got a track record, like people are more inclined to support what I'm doing now. I can get the support, and sometimes I can do a lot of it on my own now. I could do a lot of work on my own now. So I had a mentor, and he kind of taught me how to run the back office of a company, set up budgets, apply for funding, manage the funding, evaluate it, and report on it. So I spent a lot of time learning that game, and then I was on my own then, and I'm doing it on my own now, building my own little team, paying people for the work that they're doing, and then now. So moving forward to the present day, I went through a load of that, went on my own. Now I'm working with my mentor again, but he's now a director of my company, so now we're business partners. So I've gone from, he's still my mentor.
That's power.
I still say he's my mentor, and you probably think, oh yeah, whatever. But he's my mentor. But now he's my business partner, and we're working together, running my own organisation, running our organisation called Mind's Eye Development. And we've gone from a position where I'm no longer reliant on funding, even though we're still applying for funding, we're still going for funding, where I'm getting contracted to do a lot of work. So last year, I didn't really get any funding. I probably got like $5,000 worth of funding. The rest of the work that I did was contracted. And that's people saying, oh, we don't need you to do this. Can you come and do this? Can you come and do this? So I've got myself to that stage. And now I'm working with a lot of big organisations. Like I was on Zoom yesterday with Birmingham Royal Ballet, because they want some engagement work done.
Well done.
And I'm doing loads of different pieces of work now. So like last year, I spent the best part of the year doing research as a lead researcher, part of a team as a lead researcher, looking at how to diversify the workforce of the creative industries. And that was that was commissioned by Birmingham Royal Ballet in partnership with City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, the MAC, Hippodrome, and CBSO. So the 5 biggest creative organisations within the West Midlands. I spent the last 12 months doing research for them, Now they've contracted me to do more work. I'm also doing work with big training providers within the creative industries like Creative Alliance, and they're contracting me as a freelance because they see the worth in my work. So I've got to the stage now where I've developed, and work's looking for me now. Yeah. In that sense, work is looking for me now, and what I've never stopped doing is developing myself. I've always kept on developing myself. Like last year I finished my degree, I got a business degree, and the reason why I went for it was because I was doing a lot of work. Like I said, I've helped people set up businesses because of what I've learned and what I've done. I've helping people. I can show people this is what you do and that what you do, but I wasn't getting paid for it properly. So I thought, when I got a degree, now you kind of have to pay me for it properly.
Yeah, you got your license to ask for your money.
Yeah, do you get me? And that's what it's kind of done. So in the sense of my successes, I've come a very long way in the sense where now I'm an expert, I'm a trusted advisor and consultant to corporate companies and organizations. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I'm still kind of the same me. If that makes any sense, I'm still just
a well polished, better refined, better version of you, maybe.
100% a better version. But I haven't had to change. Like, I still dress the same. If that makes any sense, I still dress the same. I still walk the same. I talk more eloquent. I talk more articulately now, but that's because I've learnt a lot. I've developed myself, so I'm more articulate. I've developed myself in my writing,
and maybe your environment as well. When you move in different circles, I find it myself. I speak very different depending on the company that I'm around.
Definitely,
you do. It's sort of like a skill set, really, isn't it? You become relatable to your environment.
I've totally shifted my environment. No, my environment has totally changed over the last 10 years. My social circle. Just the settings, my family settings, the things that I do take time out to do, the conversations that I have, like the conversations that I have now are about progress. What are we doing? Like even the friends that I would say my friends, our conversations are always about what are you doing, what I'm doing, how we supporting each other, and that kind of stuff. So I feel like within the world of business and entrepreneurialism, I've come a long way, very long way, to the point where 2021. So in 2021, I was running a successful organisation called That's TV. So I was running that production company.
I think that's when me and you first got talking.
We was. So at that point in time, now again, that we started that from scratch. We started as a company that just was developing content, started a YouTube channel, but then because I had developed a background for funding and work within the community, I added that into That's TV, and we was doing a lot of community projects, a lot of work. We even went into prison. Charge It to the Game. We filmed that in Brunsford. We filmed the music video in Brunsford, active jail. No one's never done that. Not even the press can. The press can't go.
You might get a disused one for a little hour here or there, but
do you get what I'm trying to say?
Like, done well.
That's like, and I'll be honest. When I walked through the doors, I nearly had a panic attack.
Yeah.
I swear to God, when I walked through the door to go and film the video, I had a panic attack. I had to take some deep breaths because it was like, oh I'm going back into jail.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because like one thing we ain't touched upon is the whole impact of the lifestyle on the mental health side of it as well.
Yeah,
because I've had panic attacks as well. We went to do a speech in a prison one day, and I'd been in there 2 or 3 times, and it was all familiar faces, but I don't know, the door sort of slammed behind me and it all got a bit much. And I was like, I've got to get out of here. And I said to the lady that I was working with, I said, I've got to go, get me out of here, open that door. She's like, are you sure? And I was like, I can't do it, I can't leave them. So I went back in there and I said, listen, guys, sorry. I said, I just had a panic attack in the hallway. And the crazy thing was, one of the guys goes, I had one this morning. And the other guy goes, I have them all the time. And before you know it, you realise it sort of comes with age and environment, really.
Yeah, definitely.
But a lot of people do. Thankfully, I ain't had one for a long time, but yeah, not much fun.
So, yeah, man. So, like, I've put myself in put myself in a great position, and now where I'm generating. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like I'm generating cash. Even like over the last few years, I'm generating. So what I was gonna say about around That's TV, like That's TV was at a good position in 2021, but I had a team around me, and I felt like it was just me working. It was the whole business was dependent on me generating cash. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it became reliant on me having funding, me finding funding for us to deliver work. And on top of that, I was getting stressed by the rest of the team on how the money was budgeted and stuff like that. Now, so there was one point in time where I met with the team and says, look, okay, then we've got ourselves into a good position. We've got camera equipment, we've got this, we've got that, and we've got money in the bank. Let's start I'll still get funding in and apply for funding, but let's not be reliant on it. Let's start using what we've got to now generate cash. So we got to that point. 6 months down the line, we're still having the same discussion that we was having 6 months ago. So I got to the point where I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go. I'm leaving. Man them didn't believe me. Man them didn't think I was gonna bounce. Well, I bounced. Took my name off the company, and when I left, I didn't take anything. I didn't take a penny. I didn't take a penny. I didn't take no equipment. I left the man them with everything. Yeah. Didn't even leave with sour vibes, bad vibes or nothing. It was just
left with the knowledge.
It was just something that I might as well do my own thing, because I feel like I'm restricted with you, man, because you're still trying to govern what I'm doing, and you're not helping it. So I left, had a bit of money in my bank, but not enough money to last me for the next 12 months. So what I did, from there, I spent the best part of 2000. I spent from, like, I had, to be fair, so I was working on a funding application. I was working on a funding application, and there was a project that we was doing, but it finished that in March 2021. I stopped the funding application and said, yo, I'm not looking to draw in no more cash for this company, because I don't want the responsibility. Because if I get more cash in, that means for the next 12 months,
you got to provide the reports on where it's all gone.
I've got to be doing the work. So I thought, yo, I'm stopping this. That's gone. Put that away, and let me just remove myself. And then I just started to set up Mind's Eye Development, CIC, as an organisation. Had a conversation with my mentor, told him what I wanted to do. He said, yeah, that's fine. I told him I wanted to be a director. He said, yeah, that's fine, do your thing. Went and set it up on my own. And it took me the whole of 2021. Yeah, by summer 2021, the money that I had was gone. By the end of summer, the money that I had was gone. I couldn't really do loads of work because I didn't have an account. I didn't have
you can't get the funding without the bank account.
But not even the funding. Even if people want to pay me for work, I didn't have a business account to say, okay, now I can take on business. So I had to register the company. But then, as I was registering, I got knocked back 3 times because my paperwork weren't official. So that took months. It took months, but I did it. And then by 2021 November, bam, I was taking on contracts. That's when my organisation was set up, bank account set up. Now I've got a few things that I'm going to be doing. I just started having those conversations again, sending out emails. How you doing? Good to catch up. This is what I'm doing now. And I'll be honest, the first 2 people I contacted was like, oh, great stuff. Let's have a meeting. What you're doing now is right in line with what we're doing. From there, bam, 1 contract, 2 contracts. Then I spent 2022 delivering these contracts. I got a bit of funding. Like I said, I had $5,000 worth of funding. I didn't have time to do funding applications because I was delivering and doing contractual work. And then by the end of 2022, my business partner and mentor, he got involved, which I was really happy about, I'll be honest, because I wanted an excuse to work with him again. Like, I like working with him, so I wanted an excuse to work with him again. But it was like, I was even saying to him, met with him, saying, yo, come, we need to work. come, we need to work. But he just kind of left me to do my thing, and then we had a meeting. He's saying, "Yo, all right, say through some tenders, we could do this, we could do that." And since then, we just like we've been killing it. You know
so where did you originally find your mentor? How did that come about?
So do you know what? That just came about. So I met him. I had a meeting in a college. We had a meeting in a college. Went to a college to meet a group at Handsworth College, and he was there. And from there, it was kind of like we just developed a relationship. He was someone that I could call on, and that kind of stuff. And he'd give me advice and things like that. And then it got to the point where he really became my mentor. It got to the point where the company that we was running was in a bad way. I went jail, so I'd copped a case for carrying a knife. I went jail, came out, and the company was in a bad way. Now, because the company was in a bad way, after I came out of jail, another big organisation, a big charity was like, "Yo, let us take you over."
See the opportunity there,
Yeah, they was like, "Let us take you over, and you just do the work and that." I'm like, "Yo, I can't have these men taking over my thing, bro, because I know
control of it."
But also, I know what I bring to the table, and what I can generate, the funds that I can generate. Now, you can't pay me to do that. I'll do that for myself while I'm building for 20 grand, 25 grand for the year, because I know what I'm building, but I'm not going to do that for you.
Yeah, of course.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? So
yeah.
What I did was, I went to my mentor. He wasn't like, he was just someone that was giving me advice then and things like that. I went to him and said, "Look, this is the situation. These men want to take over my company. Before that happens, I'd rather you come in, take it over, and we'll work." That's what I've said to him. He says, "Wait there."
Yeah, it's power moves.
He said, "Hang fire." He said, "Hang fire. I'll phone you back." He went away, thought about it, come back to me and says, "All right, I don't want to take over the company. I'll support you to get you to a good stage where you're working and you're nice, and then you just you can pay us for that." I said, and he didn't even want no money, but I said, "Yo, we'll pay you whatever money we make. I'm gonna make sure I pay you for the work." So it was that kind of relationship. He basically supported me with his own organisation to get to a point where I'm back.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'm back, and from that point, that's when I just carried on working. And once I was back, he kind of just left me to do my thing, or kind of I was just grafting. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Because I think, like, for a lot of people that have come from similar backgrounds, the idea of having a mentor probably seems a bit corny, like, someone else to answer to. But in reality, it's surprising when you look at all the greats and all the successful entrepreneurs. Everybody's got a mentor in the background.
And some of them have more than one.
Yeah, because it's crazy not to go on a journey where you acquire so much knowledge and not pass it on.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of guys I sort of mentor a bit myself, and I've got a lot to learn. I still speak to 2 or 3 different mentors myself, because it's sharing that information, isn't it? And it's being respected for the information that you've picked up along the way.
100%. I feel like I do that naturally now, because like in the conversations that I'm having, my conversations are always productive, or majority of the time it's productive. So I'm always giving out, this is what we need to do, or you could do this, or like that's the way you go about it. Maybe you haven't thought about it. So it's, for me, having those kind of people around you is very important, and it's been a massive part in my development and success. And you said something because you said it's like having someone watching you or looking over you, or someone to report to. And I've never seen it like that. It's more of, I've got someone that I can go to for support. Like, I've never ever thought about it as, I have to watch my P's and Q's, they're watching me, or think. And even for me, sometimes that's a good thing.
I was going to say, humbly, having that accountability keeps you motivated.
Mate, it's such a good thing. Even now, because I'll be honest, like, for 2020, in 2022, I was doing quite a bit of work, and my back office function was a mess. You get what I'm saying? My back office was a mess. It wasn't in the right order. Now, it has to be.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? I got the big man involved, and it's like, yes, I even said that because it's keeping me on the street. It's keeping me from doing maneuvering out wrong, or even just not being lazy and not having the right correct structures in place and policies, and that everything has to be done above board.
I feel like sometimes when you come from certain backgrounds and certain environments, trust is a big thing, isn't it? It's difficult to trust people. So when it comes to business and there's money at stake, you feel like, well, if I keep it all to myself and keep the cards close to my chest and anything goes wrong, I've only got myself to blame. So you don't want to put that risk into the picture, because that mindset sees it as risk. It's not until you grow and you develop that you realise that it's not risk, it's opportunity. And now you want it involved. So the thing that you would have been keeping out as a youth, you're dragging in as an adult. Because you see the benefit of it.
Yeah, you see the benefit. Like a lot of this thing is about, as your awareness grows, you start to see a lot of things different, and the illusions of childhood in society fall away.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, because I would have thought that as well. Like, yo, man, don't need no mentor and that.
Yeah.
But yo, like, you defo do. Like, if you want to do big things, you need someone that can give you a bit of guidance, give you like, don't do this, don't do that. And that's not to say that you have to do what they say, but what it does is give you a better judgment, because now you can base your decision on everything. You get a fuller picture, because you talking to someone or learning from someone that has maybe a greater awareness in a specific field or a specific, and then that's not to say that person doesn't learn off you, because with my mentor, we both learn off each other. He learns different things off me.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what,
No.
but he always says, like, I learn a lot from you as well.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's all perspectives.
There you go. So it goes two different ways, but I feel like it's very important to have someone and that you can rely on. And with me, I've kind of with trust, I've learnt to deal with energies first, and trust a person's energy, and then if that person does what's the word, double cross you or does cheat or whatever, then it's, for me, it's like, it's neither here nor there. It's like, I'll be honest, I'm in a situation now where something's happened, and it's someone's taken away someone's misused my trust. They basically misused my trust, and I could even go so far to say they've stolen.
Right.
But the thing is now is I'm seeing that as a blessing, because they've probably done that. They've done that because they can see a little bit of money running. But now, like, I'm in a position now where in 6 months' time, not even 6 months' time, in 4 months' time, I'm taking on big cash.
Yeah, so you better the damage limitation and have to knock early in light.
It's I'm seeing that as a blessing. I haven't even been angry or pissed about it, because it's like, that needed to happen.
But I feel like you probably also now, you've got the humility to understand that there's something gone on within that individual to do that.
And again, and again, that's a big part of it. Yeah. Like, I totally understand why it's happened, where it came from. So it's not even a big thing. Like, for the person, I know that it was kind of necessary. You was put in a position where you felt like you needed to do that. But what you don't know, what that has done is, number one, you've gave away our friendship. That's number one. You've gave away our friendship. Now there's I trust you to be you, and I want to keep at arm's length. But then also now, in the future, you're not going to be around, in the sense where you're not going to be there or have access where you could do what you've done, but times it by 10. So a lot of the time, I feel like the Most High just removes certain things from around you for you to go to the next level. So that's how you have to look at. That's how you have to look at things.
It's the universe again.
Yeah,
Put the energy out there, you get it back.
No, 100%.
Yeah, I never believed in any of that. I really didn't, or I didn't want to. because I didn't want to be proven wrong. I thought I knew everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you start opening your eyes and, you know, humbling yourself a little bit, you realise that it's how it works.
Do you know what? It was all new for me.
Yeah.
It was new information for me, and I was learning it. And then it was like, I ask questions. So it's like, okay, then if that's the case, how does it work? Why and how? Like, example, I always grew up believing I was a product of my environment. I've said this before. Grew up believing I was a product of my environment. One time I was in jail. I'm in jail, and I'm transitioning now, but I've been pulled back I've gone to jail. When I'm in jail, I'm reading this book, David Icke book, one of David Icke's books, and there was a statement in there that says, "You're not a product of your environment. Your environment is a product of you." I'm like, what? And I'm in jail. I'm in a jail cell, so I'm looking around my prison cell. I'm thinking, that's wild. That's mad. I can't be a product. This is not a product of me. So then I started to ask questions. Okay, then if that's the case, how, why, and that just brought me right back to the point where it's a product of me. Because when I was 10, 11, what did I want to be? I wanted to be a wicked man. I wanted to be a bad boy. I've said this before. I wanted to be a bad boy.
You get what you ask for, innit?
You get what you ask for. Like, you become that way. You become that way inclined. The only thing is, when I was 11, I didn't know. You don't, even if you see it in the films, you don't know that you're going to experience going to jail. You don't, or in and out of jail. Like, because I haven't been jailed once. I've been like 7 times in and out of jail. Or you watching your friends get their head blown off, or man getting shot up and that. You don't see that experience. You see the the jewels, the car, the gal. You see all of that. You don't see the stress and the pressures of life. And then when you get there, it's like, oh, this is what it really is. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's like we have to see these things before we have to, before we delve into them. We have to ask questions. We have to like that's a big thing for me. Ask questions. Why is this like this? Why is this the way it is? Like, even for a lot of people out there, I've learnt why I was the way I was.
But that's why there's so many things that exist to keep you busy and stop you having the self-reflection to ask that question.
Yeah, man. Like, really as well.
Innit?
Because those are the things that have really helped to shape my transition and put me into a position where, like, I am doing big business. I'm like we were saying earlier, like, I have people on 100,000 a year and asking me, what do you think? Like my view is important. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
It is, because you've had the foresight and the intuition to unplug yourself from the bullshit and look at the world for what the world actually is. Whereas some of these people, just like how on the road you might be conditioned, groomed almost into a certain lifestyle dynamic, it's very similar for people that have gone on the legitimate side, gone to school, gone to university, got the job, got into the rhythm and the groove, but never actually stopped and said, well, do I really want to be doing this job? Or am I really happy about this? Or what do I really know about the thing that I am an expert on because it says I'm an expert on my LinkedIn profile?
Yeah.
Are you an expert? What's made you an expert? 5 years at school and university?
Yeah.
Really?
Without experience.
Lived experience.
See the thing with me, I haven't just got lived experience, because I've got lived experience, but it's not. I've gone back and analysed it, and this is what's made me an expert, because I've gone back to do my own research to find out why this has happened to me. Why is this happening to all the youths around me? How do you change it then? How do you make that transition now? So I've gone from being like an expert on gangs, because I'll be honest, there's all these academics and gang workers and this and that. They can't tell me nothing about the roads, fam. They're not to say that they don't know what they're talking about, but you can't tell me nothing because you ain't experienced it, you ain't come from.
The thing is, you turn up to the education with half the knowledge already.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
Like, so it's getting to that, and it's getting to that position. Once you get to that position, you have to make you an expert. You've got to analyze and find out why, and then do all the learning around it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because for you to know why, you have to start doing the learning and find out how your character was shaped, how this and that. So now I can say I'm an expert in how you change your life. I can say I'm an expert in how you change your way of thinking because I've physically done it.
And on a personal level, like doing the whole education around it, has that been almost therapeutic in some ways, would you say?
No, yeah, it is. It helps me. Like, first and foremost, the education was done to help me change my life. It was, I needed to learn why I became like this. Why
you didn't get into it with any kind of vision of that being your career path or financial gain. You got into it to understand yourself.
I got
is what I'm hearing.
But also financial gain's a part of it because it's building a life for yourself that you can, like, when I was young, I always wanted to have my own business, nice car, house, wife, this, that, all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But I learned, by the time I was 30, I'd learned this ain't going to come from the roads. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's not coming from the roads. So now I have to sit down.
It's the energy thing again. You're putting the bad out.
Yeah. So although it was based on me bettering myself, but it was bettering myself for everything, my family, my children, just to have a better life where I'm happier. You know, I'm living, I'm doing well, and now I've kind of got to the point where I can sit down and say, yeah, you know what, I'm raw doing well. I'm actually doing well.
Listen, we're sat in your house, we're surrounded by trophies and accolades of successful children, so they come from a successful parenting, don't they?
No, 100%. 100%.
So it's crazy when you say, you know, you didn't have dad around like that and this, that and that, but now it's your turn and you're obviously doing the job very well.
That was one thing that I did learn, which really stopped me in my tracks as well. As I was saying, like, through the learning, and these was in the early stages, like, I was learning that, my children are a reflection of me. Because when you start to learn about how your character was developed, it's based on your upbringing and your family, and this, it's based on the culture around you that you was raised by. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I can't have my youths going through this. Everything has to change. Everything has to change. Another thing that we spoke about, like, I've been well known since I was 16, 15. Like, I've been well known. I've been throughout the city. So now in my 20s, going into 30s, mid-20s, I've got children now and I'm taking my children to school, and people are going to start looking at my children differently because of who I am. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I got a name, I make music, and I'm cruddy. I'm picking up my youths in a trackie and my hoodie, and I don't think people are not going to start to view my children as in a certain way because of who their father is and what they're around. So everything had to change. Everything had to change. Like, for real.
It's almost like social value, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And now I've got to a point where I've everything's reversed. Everything's reversed. Like, I had to go through a whole process of everyone turning against me, not having no money, doing loads of stuff and not having no money, to the point where like you gotta love me. You can't hate what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is for your children. It's not just mine. It's for yours as well. You can't hate what I'm talking about. This is for your kids. This is to make sure your children don't grow in the same way. And then not only that, but now it's not just the community, but I'm respected within the business world. I'm respected within the corporate world. Those that know about me, I'm respected because they know I'm a serious guy. I get things done, and I have a good standpoint in the sense of what I know, my view. I have my opinions based on some strong background, some strong knowledge, some strong learning. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm respected quite a bit in that sense.
No, I agree with that, definitely. And you say, like, all the things you've overcome to get to where you've touched on some of the fantastic things that you have done. But do you still feel like there's doors being closed in your face? Do you feel like you still got resistance against you? Or do you feel like it's just a clear runway now?
Honestly. Okay. So
what three things would absolutely change the trajectory of your successful future now?
I'm gonna say because I'll be honest, and when I started this year, that's how I started it. Like, I don't need to change nothing. My trajectory I'm on a good trajectory. What my trajectory is sick. Like, if I continue doing what I'm doing, I'm gone. But what I really want to do now is jump. I want to jump the trajectory. So I skip a leg. Maybe you can't. Maybe you have to deal with the process. But you can. It's just doing the right thing, making the right move, and then bam, you actually jump trajectories. So I think, like, in the future, it's really just about taking on more responsibility, doing bigger projects, being able to support and employ more people.
All right, so I'm going to be quite direct.
Go on.
What's the end goal for you? Like, what do you want to achieve?
So, all right, so for me, like, the end goal would be to have built a self-sustaining community that runs itself, where the young people where it's productive. The young people are productive. The adults are productive. The adults are working together. Like, my end goal is really to have that real self-sustaining community that works and thrives together. That's what it is for me. That's, like, it's not even like, obviously I want to make big money and this and that, but, like, that's not the end goal, because I make money for a purpose.
Yeah, you realise that money's not the end.
My money goes, like, a lot of the money I make goes back into what I'm doing. Most of the money I make, after I pay my bills, it's like, what do I do now? Oh, okay, let me buy some equipment, let me do this, what can I, like, it goes back into what I'm doing. So the money is just, the resources, I'm going to say, forget money, the resources allows me to do what I'm doing. Give me more resources. I can build that community. I'll bring these people in together and say, this is what we need to be doing. This is how the community needs to be running. We wouldn't have to, like, the youths within our community are thriving. All like my children are thriving. I'll be honest, my children are thriving. All the youths will be thriving like that, and even more, because I even said to my son the other day, like, yo, I expect more. Coming from this house. I expect. It's like, damn, dude, like, yeah, but this is it, lad.
It's good.
You know what I'm saying? I expect more. So for me, that's the end. That's the real end goal. I'm about developing a community, and building my community to the point where, like, we are thriving as a people and as a community. There's nobody needs to rob no one. Nobody needs to kill no one, because we're all eating food. Everybody's eating food. That's the thing about me. If I'm eating food, everyone around, like, if you're around me, we're eating food. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's how I like to live. Like, it's no point in me just having BAP and this and that, and everyone around me is still struggling and this and we're thriving. What can I invest in? That's the kind of thing that's the kind of thing when I've got money around me, like, yo, what can I invest in? Who's got an idea that we can do? Or I'm doing my own stuff. You get what I'm trying to say? So I feel like I'm really about building. I'm building an empire, not just my empire, but an empire for the community. So we're all just thriving. There's businesses. Everyone's got. If you haven't got a business, you're in a good job. But yo, all the businesses that we're supporting are our own. We all run it. This is us. It's, like I said, self-sustaining community. And I know there's a lot of things and entities out there that don't want to see that. So it's not something
for their own personal gain.
Definitely, like 100% for their own personal gain. It's always that, and that's even from people within the community.
See, really, what going deep on it, what you're really describing is you've got the wider community that already exists, which to a lot of us we can say is broken, because we see the impact of it. So it sounds like what you're saying, the objective is to create an inner community within that that can work, and then expand out from there.
And the thing is, like,
rather than trying to fix the broken community that exists,
we need to build our. We're definitely about building our own. And the thing is, it's just not just my goal. It's not just about Birmingham. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it starts here. hopefully there's brothers in London doing the same thing. There's brothers in
There
Mali.
definitely is.
Right.
I may well be sitting down with someone tomorrow having a conversation about similar things.
So there's and then what we do is when we've got our little things built up, we come together and we have this big connection of communities that we start shaping our own policies. We start because once there's power in numbers. Once we come together like that and we're a community of professionals, because that's what we're really talking about, building a community of professionals, then we have a lot of power to say this is going to happen. No, that can't happen. There's 100 mil coming into the community. First, wait there. Before you try to bring that 100 mil into this community, what are you trying to do with it?
Yeah.
Is
That's right. Is it here as a distraction or a benefit?
Being as you've got that, we'll go away, we'll have a discussion, we'll put a plan together, and we'll say this is what you need to do with it. Otherwise, keep it.
For real.
Otherwise, go with it, because I've spoke about
because we've seen the impact of just bringing in financial resources into a community and putting them into the wrong places.
That's what
we know what happens.
I feel like
we're here now with the lesson.
Planned. It's been a plan. And the thing is, the money that comes is BS because of how it's disseminated, and because of how it's disseminated to little groups here and there to do work. Sometimes good, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not work that's really going to change the hood. It's just work to say, okay, then this bit of work's been doing, and the powers that be can tick the boxes. Oh yeah,
it reminds me of the doctors. They want to treat the symptom but never the cause.
You get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's always that, and that's how I really started, because when we did the documentary 1 Mile Away, it was like they wanted to stop gangs, they wanted to stop knife crime, this and that. I've never been about that.
Yeah, trying to squash the beef.
I'll be honest, I've never been about that. I'm about, because those are symptoms of the problem. Those are symptoms of a bigger problem which is deep rooted. And for me, that problem is culture and mindset. And once we start to change the culture and we start to change the mindset, then things within the community are going to change. So I feel like moving forward, I'm really just I'm building myself. I'm building myself and hopefully those around me to a position where we can become like that. That's really the end goal. Like, the end goal for me, the end goal is not about me. It's about the whole community.
It's mad because so many people would listen to this and think, bro, that all sounds fantastic on paper, but that is a myth. That can never happen, because they've been almost lobotomized into believing you can't achieve. You know, you've been told no so many times, you've been told it can't happen so many times, that you, in the end, you just think, well, maybe it can't. But the reality is it can.
No, definitely. Like I said before, I'm a warrior. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me, oh, you can't do this or that won't work, or like, and going off what I've learned, if something doesn't work, it's because you haven't made it work. Like, there's always a way to make something work. Even all the little projects that I've had, that I've delivered, like, people have come to me and says, yo, what are you doing? You can't do that, or whatever. Or there's been projects that I've had in mind of doing 10 years ago that's just coming off the ground right now, or just come off the ground in the last two years. Like the We Are the Village. We Are the Village CIC is aiming to become a community cooperative, and what we're really trying to do is create a body that represents the whole community, that represents all the organizations and businesses within the community, as well as the individuals and families. And I was speaking to people and having meetings about that in 2013. I was trying to bring professionals around the table and all these people working within the community. I'm trying to get these people around the table saying, yo, if we're all working to better the community, why aren't we doing it as one? Yeah. Like, how come we don't move as one? And that's what so again, going back to end goal, is to build something where we move as one. We're moving as one. That means, and then when we do that, that means it's going to be very hard for people to make decisions about us without us. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of decisions that get made and we don't have no say. We don't have no say. They'll just make the decisions, or they'll do what you were speaking about earlier. They'll maybe bring some of us to the meeting, hear what we got to say, but do what they're doing anyway.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So it's really about time.
Yeah, you got a place at the table, but no voice.
Do you get me? So
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing where my end goal is really about building that. Is about and that's not to me. That's not to say I'm gonna be leading it. I'm the leader, because I don't think we need a specific leader. What we need is a system of leadership to say this is how we're following the system. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah, you do need some stand-up guys to go and push the agenda, to really be the fuel of the fire. But in the sense, even those stand-up guys need to be following something. They need to be following some form of structure or something that holds them accountable as well, if that makes any sense. Because one man can't do it on his own, and it can't be off one man's one man's thinking or frame of mind. It's about how developing a system that allows us to come together and move as one. That's my end goal. You get what I'm trying to say? That's my end goal. I'm not trying to raise 100 grand. I've done that. I'm not trying to, and that's not to say that I'm not still doing that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But that's far from my end goal. Even becoming a millionaire, yeah, I'm striving for that. I'm pushing for that, and more than likely it's gonna happen because of what I'm doing and how I'm thinking. But
the thing is, it can happen, and it could happen so much quicker if so much resources and time didn't get wasted on step one, trying to educate people about putting down the bullshit, stopping the nonsense,
and come together.
Because divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. You know, we even got onto that.
No, and this is what they do. You know what's mad? Because even with the organisations within Birmingham, like, it's the same thing. I'll be honest, and I'll be honest, and I know a lot of organisations that are pissed with me, like fuck my man, because I'm just keeping it real, and I'll be like, yo, I've seen the bitchy shit that happens. I've seen the bitchy shit and the talking behind people's back and this and that and rare tear, and I'm real. I don't like those movements. I don't like snaky movements, and it's a snaky game. So again, I go back to how come so much people are doing so much good work and we can't come together to move as one? If we can't do that, now, if we can't do that, the people that can't do that, that means you're not really about our progression.
That's because them people, someone's got to them and paid them off.
Yeah,
they've put the priority into
paid.
The financial benefit and not the objective.
Like for me, like this,
which let's be honest, when it boils back down to the basics, if you took money out of the picture, the world would be very different for a lot of reasons.
In it, like really, and I feel like a lot of people are doing things or just in here for a check. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Where
that's why I rate Dame Dash.
Yeah, for real. Cause he just
says it how it is.
And I'll be honest, like I'm similar. Where I'll just say what I see. I say, and it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But to be fair, I don't care. Change it then. Change it, or continue and get called out for it, because it's not just me that sees it. Loads of people see it. But no one's really gonna jump up and say, yo, these men are taking a piss, that's some bullshit, you men are pussies. Like, I'm raw with it. And even as a legal guy working in the world of business, I'll still stand up and say, yo, other men are moving like pussies because this is not happening. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I feel like a lot of people don't like me for that.
Sometimes I think you take a group of people, you condition them to think and behave and act a certain way for generations. And then somebody comes forward and says, hang on a minute, this is a bad idea, there's a better way of doing it. The first thing, the ego's got a big bruise because they've got to accept shit. So what you're really saying is the way we've been doing everything's wrong. It's a lot to swallow, isn't it?
And I have been saying that. Maybe I've been saying it in not the best way, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of it's, I say it based on my passion and my emotions, my emotions that I have to it. And I know firsthand, in the sense of just even this topic here, I know a lot of people within the city are pissed because of how I talk about the work that's going on. And yeah, loads of people. There's a lot of great.
But the thing is,
there's a lot of great work happening. But yo, I don't see too much changing in the hood. So this means, if nothing doesn't change in the 10 years, what are we doing?
But respectfully, you got to think from their point of view. I always try and see things from both sides.
Yeah.
And from their perspective, maybe they ain't thought so deep about it. Maybe they ain't come to the same conclusions. Maybe they've just got on living in the system, worked their way up a career ladder, and found themselves in a position where them and their family's livelihoods are very dependent on them keeping the bullshit alive. So they would rather just sit it out on the subs bench than get up there and play.
100%. Like even the.
But what I would say to them people is, it's not sustainable. It doesn't work. There's no longevity to that, because you end up in the environment that you're in where it could be a lot better.
Like it could, and for me, again, there's power in numbers. Like, okay, what I do with my little organisation is quite good. It's quite big. If I really started to speak about it and was really open about the kind of things that I do and like what we kind of generate. But the reality is, imagine if we was that's me, just little old me. Imagine if we're doing that as one, as a whole community, and this is we're all on the same page. It's mad. It's mad. But a lot of people will say, oh, it's either we can't come together, there's too much conflict of interest, I need to know what he's doing, I'll be honest, I don't care about none of that.
It's not important.
I don't care about none of that. I care about the bigger agenda. If I have to stop everything what I'm doing so we can do this, I'll do that, because that's more important, and I know where that's going to take us. That's going to take us to the end goal, my end goal, where we are a self-sustaining, thriving community that governs ourselves. And that's not to say that we're not abiding by the laws of this society, but it means that we say how we live. We're choosing how we live, and we're living in a more positive way.
There's got to be a common objective for people to make any kind of impact, isn't there?
There is.
It's like, you imagine if I don't know, as an analogy, if a load of people turned up to church on Sunday and said, well, before we start worshipping and getting into all that, I've got a few questions. I'll only worship God if he was a woman, or she was a woman, or he was a man, or of this culture, this race, whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's the whole divide and conquer thing. All again, it just plays out around you. And when you've got your eyes open to it and you actually look for it, it's scary.
Do you know what's mad?
How sewn into the fabric of society it is.
Bro, the system is set up like that. It's literally set up like that, where
it's very clever.
Where as they say then they say that they want organize the statutory and government organisation. They say we want grassroots organisations to work together and things like that. But I don't believe that's what they really want it. They really want us to really come together and say because then we literally do start to govern. When we come together, then it gives us the power to govern, to say, okay, this is what needs to happen. No, that can't happen.
But I don't know about you, the more times unfolding, especially of, say, the last year, the more I'm seeing people are starting to come together and starting to challenge the narrative.
No, definitely.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too deep on that because the thing will get struck off.
Yeah.
But I can see it.
Definitely. It's only, I'll be honest, it's only a matter of a time before it really happens like that, because the knowledge is out there, people are waking up.
This shit's not sustainable and everybody can see that. And
it's getting worse. I mean, it's getting harder to live, and the harder it gets to live for the normal people, there's either two things that's going to be happening. Either people are going to get confused and start fighting against each other, or people are going to pull together.
That'll be the initial thing, the first thing, and then the latter, I think, will come behind it.
It's coming together.
Because people are motivated by feelings, right? The anger will motivate them to do the first thing, but when the anger starts to settle, if the anger's not being provoked and kept alive, then the logic will come into play.
I'll be honest, when that kicks off and everyone starts fighting against each other, I'm gone into a little hole and I'm going to start masterminding and planning for when everyone starts to come together. That's what I'm doing, because I'm not sitting down.
Sounds like you're already in that hole and you've already got the master plan to do it.
We have.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just that, and it's just making sure that we can keep continuing to evolve and develop what we're doing and keep building. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
All right, so if anyone's listening or watching then that feels like they want to get involved and even at a little level make an impact in their own community, whether they're not even from Birmingham, what's your advice to them?
Do you know what? The first thing I say is have some ideas and then start to speak to people. You need to start to speak to everyone and anyone about the idea that you have, and find people that can support what you're doing or who want to support what you're doing. Call me, call you, shout out. Like, I'm a man, anyone can reach me. Anyone can message me. Anyone can message me and say, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Can you help me? And even if it's just a phone call to have a conversation with them to give advice, or if they're local, go meet them in the pub, have a conversation. Like, I do that regular. You know what I'm trying to say? So find people, speak to everyone about what you want to do. Find like-minded people that you can come together with. And then also find the support, but then find someone that you can learn from. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Find those people. It's human resources is probably the most powerful thing at when you're starting something, when you're starting an idea, because that human resource will lead to helping you find finances. I've had projects where I've started a project where I've got an idea, no money to start it, don't know how this thing's gonna happen, but maybe I do a one-pager, send it around, maybe I start speaking to people, someone, we've got 10 grand for you, and this has happened on a number of occasions, like, we've got this money, or have a conversation with this guy. He's got some money that he needs to put into something, or he wants to put in. He might have 10 grand for you. Go and have a conversation. We give you 20. It's fine. Because
again, I think from the people that hold that money, from their point of view, put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, you got 10 grand in your hand. You want to make sure that's gonna have an impact. You want to G-check that person that's coming through your door to make sure they've done their research. They know what they want to do. Yeah, like you probably get the same shit I do all the time. Like you'll get emails upon emails of people saying, "I've had this fantastic idea. This is what I want to do." Blah blah blah, and it all looks great. And then when you dig into it, you can see that there's a lot that's been overlooked, and it's hard sometimes to send the reply back, knowing that it's going to dampen the fire a little bit the other side. But you got to do it for them and for you, because I don't know, like I speak for myself, but you learn more about the things that don't work, or you learn more from the things that don't work than the things that do.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I always try to give the alternative. Say, okay then, I can't like, and I would never say that. That's not going to happen like that, but I say, if I'm going to be honest, I can't see that working like that because of this, but maybe if you did it like this,
that's right.
Maybe if you did a bit of that, then it would allow you to do...
Which is where the mentorship comes in.
Do you get me? So it's like, yeah man, like for people that are starting, or just for people that want to do something, like have an idea, put your idea on paper, even if it's only a one-pager, even if you're not good at writing, because I mean the first one-pager I did, that must have been terrible.
Yeah.
That must have been terrible.
Yeah, not too terrible, because it got you moving.
All right, but the thing is, it probably wasn't even what I had written on paper that got me that got me moving. It was the fact that I had written it, and people could see, okay,
he's invested in this.
This guy actually wants to do something. And I'll be honest, that's where I've got a lot of buy-in, because people can see that I'm going to do it regardless. Even if you don't help me do this, 2 months' time or 2 years' time, you're going to see that it's done. I'm doing it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And when people see that, they're more inclined to help you. So the fact that I had made that little one-pager, and I'm going to be honest, it was definitely written terrible, because now I'm a writer. I would say that I'm a writer. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But the fact that I did it coming man off the roads, fresh off the plaque, still got my foot in the on the block. But yo, he's put together a 1-pager, and this is what he wants to do. Let's help him. We need to help him. In fact, we need to help him. So get your idea, put it on paper, speak to everyone you can that might be able to help you. Speak to people that might not be able to help you, because sometimes a conversation, like I've helped people, and sometimes it's just been a conversation. Like it's just a quick conversation, and like, yo, see them 12 months down the line, yo, my man helped me out, this and that. I'm like, just on that conversation, yeah. You get what I'm trying to say? So have them conversate. Make sure, I said it to my mate yesterday, like, yo, you have to speak to everyone you know about it. If this is what you're gonna do, then you have to speak like, yo, I'm doing this. Can you help me? What are you doing at the moment that we could tie in? Maybe we could tie in together, and that's how you really start to get ideas off the ground. Without the real skill of knowing what you're doing, without the skill of knowing how to set it up. You could, just by having those conversations, you're gonna find someone that knows. Oh, I can help you here. I know you can do this. I know you can do that. Oh, you might be able to tap into this fund here. You might be able, and that's how you build your team.
And it don't even have to be in an area that you're originally in or you understand. You can go way off piste with it and still make a success of it.
Definitely.
You know, like you're in the music game, so like I'm going to use that as an example. Charlie Sloth, AU Vodka.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. And you know what? Also,
that's inspirational.
Do you know what else I would say? Now, you see, with my music, a lot of the other work that I've did has allowed me to continue to make music, and then even it's put me on where I've been paid to make music. So I've had funding from the Arts Council. The Charge It to the Game, that video, I got paid to do that. I got paid to record. I got paid to make the song.
But is that a lot of that on the strength of the other work you do, or solely on the music itself?
That's what I'm saying. So that was my point. Like, because of all the other work that I'm doing, it's allowed me to do more of what I want to do. So sometimes you have to. This is what I say. This is what I always say to creatives. Anyone that's a creative, like what you need to do as a creative is the thing that you love doing. What else can you do around it? So for me, like, I get paid to make content. Last year I spent 8 months creating content, paid. I was getting paid for it. Like I get paid for the creative work that's not around my music, but the fact that I'm getting paid for it allows me to go now I can go and make my music. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And then through me developing myself to put in together funding applications and that, now I can tap into funds to make music. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So a lot of the work that I've done and the development has allowed me to kind of get paid to make music, to do that's what I actually love doing. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
The entrepreneur in me sometimes listens to artists make music and thinks, if I had that talent and I could make music, I would be trying to make the next Christmas tune or something like that, where there's longevity and repetitive earnings off of the back of it. You know, like if you've gone to all that effort to make that particular track about that particular subject, which is going to be irrelevant in the next 6 to 12 months, why not do it for something that can give you a runway?
No, it makes sense. Makes sense. I think with me on that, and this was a reason, and this was going back to another question that you asked earlier, like to say, why didn't I just carry on making like some gangster music and just do it and this and that? Because I'm old school. I'm from the era where if you wasn't doing what you said, you couldn't rap about it. Man will move to you. You know what I'm saying? You'll be removed from the game.
It's not like today's world.
I come from that era. This is an era that most of these artists that you hear about now, they don't know about that. So I come from the place where, yo, you rap about what you do. You speak about your reality. If that's not your reality, then you shouldn't be talking on it.
But this is where it starts getting very deep. But I feel like certain artists now, they just want to... It's like a fucking marketing campaign for anything expensive. Yeah? This watch, these shoes, this jacket, this, that. I'm going here, I've brought this car, I'm having a holiday here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. When if you look at like the origins of the music,
Where it's come from.
it's come from people having nothing and speaking on that. So you've been hijacked. The whole scene has been hijacked.
Based on consumerism now.
Literally.
And sometimes the artists ain't even owning what they have.
Of course they're not. I've heard all kinds of stories about hiring jackets for videos.
Yeah,
and
it's mad. It's
wild. My God.
See, I've still got that realness in me where there's something in me that won't allow me to make music about about the stuff that I used to make music, because I don't believe in it. I can't make music about things that I don't believe in. So if you hear me, and I can't even speak or advocate something that I don't believe in. So if you hear me speaking on something, it's because but this is what I truly believe, to the point where I might die for it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I've come from that era. Maybe that's part of my my either success or downfall within music. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
It all goes back to what your true objective is, how your true energy is. Are you an artist for the art, or you're an artist for the agenda?
See, and what I was going to say is, now my art is a tool. It's a straight tool. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I use it to push a message. I use it to take the ears, to take or keep the ears of the people. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And then my last EP, Winner's Mentality, I called it Winner's Mentality because I basically wrote it in the sense that I want people to listen to it and develop a certain type of mentality that creates winners, like certain things that I've learned along the way to help me, and I'm going to say develop a winner's mentality, because I don't feel I have a winner's mentality. Like in my head, I can't lose. Do you get what I'm trying to say? There's no such thing as losing.
I've listened to that album and that comes across very, very clearly. Do
you get me? And I wrote it in that way. So now it's about how can because that's all music is. It's a way to program the mind. So how can I'm using it to program the mind. So people, like, in 10 years time, there's going to be some successful people that was like, yo, we used to listen to this, like real shit. Like, we used to listen to this, and it not that it's going to make you successful, but it's going to help you develop the mindset to go in that direction.
They say, like, is it ignorance is bliss or something like that?
Yeah.
When it comes to music, that really applies to me, because there's certain artists out there that I respect their music, I respect their energy, and I respect their pedigree within the game. They're not getting the numbers, they're not getting the recognition that they deserve. In place of them getting that recognition is people that are just pushing narrative and agenda.
But that's it.
And it's frustrating to see, like...
They get resourced. They're the guys that are getting resources. Why? Because maybe the people that are resourcing them are relatives of those that are in control of the privatised jail system. Like, it's all mad.
But you know what? It takes me back to a time, right? I grew up in Bedford. We had a club there called Cabana, yeah? Quite a lot of today's names started out at Cabana, typically over jungle beats, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
At the time, our group used to listen to what we would have called underground music with jungle.
Yeah.
Then it started turning into rap and whatnot. And the radio was just pop, yeah? You wouldn't be listening to the radio them times. Whereas now, what would have been the underground then has been hijacked and is the modern day pop. It's out on the radio and everyone's listening to it. And I can't help but feel there's a place for that underground scene again to rise with the conscious rap and the conscious music. Because what was appealing back then is still applicable today. It was a narrative and a relatable set of lyrics and storyline to the few that were being suppressed.
Do you know what it is now?
It's hard to explain.
Nah, it's because you know what it is. You see the radios and the industry now. It's a machine, and the machine is only like
Someone's seen the financial benefit of music and thought, we'll get control of this.
But then it's not just the financial benefit, but the impact. We have to think about the impact. Like rap music is probably the biggest tool for shaping culture. The biggest tool for shaping culture across the world. Like rap music is probably one of the biggest tools for shaping culture. I heard Nick Cannon and KRS-One say that. They said it. Now, if that's the case, why wouldn't people hijack it so they can control the narrative? Because that's what it is. Once you control the narrative, you control the population.
This is it. And obviously, this podcast predominantly really is around entrepreneurship and business mindset. And if you look at it from that angle, it's so clever.
Yeah,
definitely. The plan has been executed absolutely fantastically, and it works, it works well.
Yeah, it killed it.
But the argument is at the expense of what?
But like I says, it's not at the expense, because the people in control know they make money from it, not just from the music. They make money from
the byproduct.
They make money from people going jail. They make money from all the drugs and the drugs and the things that the criminality is buying, purchasing, the jewels, this and that. Not only that, then they also make money off the sorrow, after the whole judicial system is about money.
Yeah,
the whole court.
Yeah, I've got a bit of experience of that.
The whole judicial system is about money. It's about finances. Everybody within the court system is getting paid, and they're on good money. So how is that being financed and funded? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And it's through our pain. It's literally through our pain. Do you get what I'm trying to say? They'll throw government money at it, say they're dealing with a problem, but the government's taking 2/3 of that money before it actually gets to dealing with the problem. That's the reality that's the reality we really want to change. We want to remove it. Like, it needs to, and this maybe we shouldn't even be
well,
maybe we shouldn't even be going to this level, but
yeah, I hear you, but there's two ways of looking at it, isn't there? Because this is my mindset of it, yeah. Certain people will be watching this saying, get them off, counsel them, strip them of any kind of publicity. This is risking the agenda. This is threatening the profit margin. Shut them up. Yeah. What I would say to them people is, yeah, your objective has worked very well up until now. And I admire the savviness to be able to pull it off. But you're not that in tune with the base level down here.
Yeah.
And the base level down here has woke up. So you now need to think outside the box, because your little plan's not sustainable any longer.
Yeah, definitely not.
So it's up to you. You can counsel us and shut us up and carry on. And you might get 6 months, a year or 2.
Yeah, but it's coming.
But it's coming, it's in the post. Or you can hear what we're trying to say, tweak the plan a little piece, still make a lot of money, but change the product.
The narrative.
Change the narrative. That's right.
Yeah,
Reform is the new hustle.
Definitely.
The good life is the way forward. And you can make money from that. You've made the money off the misery. Hope you've had a nice time, but change it up now. And
I just want to just touch on that in the sense of the good money and the bad money. Like, I've made money both ways.
Same.
Both ways, and I'll be honest. Once you get to a certain point, you're gonna make more money doing legal stuff. You're gonna make more money with a lot less risk doing business, being entrepreneurial. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I might be totally wrong. I might be sat here talking absolute crap, yeah? I'm just following my own energy on this. When people say, you're entrepreneurial, normally people that are entrepreneurial see the waves before the waves come and then get on and ride them, yeah? Or they see a problem, provide a solution. When you start looking at it in that perspective, you can see how money gets made by create the problem, provide the solution.
Yes, definitely.
Right? A little part of me hopes that we're at that pivot stage in their master plan where they've created the problem, but now the monetization is going to come from providing the solution. Because if that is the case, we're back on an incline. Something I want to try and introduce to this podcast. I think it will give it a little bit of an edge and hopefully make it fun and interesting. Can you nominate 3 people that you'd potentially like to see as guests on this podcast?
Yeah. All right then. So, Pearly Things, definitely. If you can get her, she's a G. Then also the brother that's on there. My name is China. He's on Instagram. My name is China, I think. So China, the man name's choice. Him. He's a G. We need him on there. We need to hear him talking everywhere. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Definitely. And then probably like. I'd say probably like. To be fair, like I think like Wiley or Getz. Yeah, done though. It's me, Zimbo, and you're locked into the Benny Lodestar podcast. One order, one nation. Anything else, dirt.